You know, it's easy to think that our biggest modern problems, this endless wanting, the political division, all the misinformation, are somehow brand new. But what if they're not? Let's dive into some ancient stories that basically hold a mirror up to our world today, and you'll see just how timeless our struggles really are. So we're going to dig into some of these persistent human problems, but we're going to do it through the lens of something called the Arthopada Sutra. Now, a sutra is just a collection of teachings, and this one, written down almost 2,000 years ago, is packed with these incredible parables that speak directly to the chaos of right now.
All right, let's start with a big one. A question I think we all wrestle with. Why does it feel like no matter what we accomplish or what we buy or what we get, it's never quite enough? Well, this ancient text has a story that just explains this feeling perfectly. So let me introduce you to King Jiatan. This is a guy who was actually driven from his own kingdom. Now, when his more just brother took the throne, Jiatan didn't see a chance for peace, he saw an opportunity for more. His story is this powerful lesson in how desire, when you let it run wild, can become this insatiable monster. You know, it all started pretty small. He was humbled, he was in exile, and he first just begged his brother for a single village to live in. And his brother said yes. But as soon as he had that one village, he wanted more, and then more. He eventually demanded half the entire kingdom, got it, and then used that power to conquer his brother and take everything back. But it didn't stop there. Oh no, he conquered all the neighboring lands until he ruled the whole continent. And even then, standing there as literally the most powerful man in the known world, he hears a rumor about some mythical kingdom across the sea, and boom, he's miserable all over again because he doesn't have that too. And this is where the sutra just hits the nail on the head. It explains this feeling with such a powerful metaphor. Wanting more is like trying to quench your thirst by drinking salt water. I mean, think about that. It seems like it should work, but it only makes the thirst so much worse. The real takeaway here is huge. The problem isn't what we lack, it's the nature of wanting itself. So the story really lays out two paths, right? You can live in this painful, exhausting cycle of always wanting more, where every time you win, you just find a new, bigger thing to chase. Or you can find the wisdom of contentment, realizing that peace doesn't come from getting more stuff, but from wanting less. And look, this isn't just some dusty old story. Think about it for a second. The constant need to upgrade our phones, the next promotion on the corporate ladder, the endless scrolling for more likes and followers. That's King Jitan's story. It's our story. It's the engine of our whole society. And just like him, we often end up feeling powerful but miserable, always looking for that next kingdom across the sea. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's talk about our next big modern problem, this tribalism, this division where everybody is just so sure they're right and that everyone else is wrong. Well, there's an ancient story, probably one of the most famous in the world, that tackles this head on. So the parable goes like this. A king brings a group of blind men to an elephant. The first man touches the elephant's leg and, based on his own direct experience, he confidently says, "Okay, I get it. An elephant is like a massive pillar." And he's not lying. From his point of view, that is the absolute truth. But then the next man grabs the elephant's tail and he says, Whoa, you're completely wrong. An elephant isn't like a pillar at all. It's obviously like a thick, rough rope." And he's just as certain, and based on his limited piece of information, he's just as correct. And you can guess what happens next, right? A third man touches the elephant's ear and just scoffs at both of them. A pillar? A rope? Are you guys kidding me? An elephant is clearly a large, leathery fan. And just like that, the argument was on, with each person passionately defending their own partial truth, convinced the others were either liars or just plain stupid. And again, this isn't some fable we made up last week. This is a timeless piece of wisdom about our own human nature, recorded in the Arthopada Sutra almost 2,000 years ago. It illustrates a fundamental flaw in how we see the world around us. This chart just lays it all out so clearly. Each person's interpretation, a pillar, a rope, a fan, it was totally accurate for the tiny part they were experiencing. The problem wasn't that they were wrong. The problem was that they mistook their part for the whole. None of them could see the full elephant. So why does this ancient story matter so much right now? Because our news feeds, our social circles, our political bubbles, they're the modern equivalent of only touching one part of the elephant. We get one perspective, one set of facts, and we become absolutely certain that we see the whole picture and that anyone who disagrees is just plain wrong.
All right, so from partial truths, let's turn to outright lies. The final parable we're going to look at deals with the destructive power of misinformation and false accusations, something that feels, wow, maybe more relevant now than ever before. This story reads like a playbook for a modern smear campaign. It's wild. A group of jealous rivals plotted to destroy the Buddha's reputation. First, they had a woman make very public visits to his grove, just to establish a false connection in people's minds. Then, they murdered her, buried the body on the property, and went straight to the king, publicly accusing the Buddha and his monks of sexual misconduct and murder. It was a calculated, deliberate lie designed for maximum damage. So when he's confronted with this horrific, reputation-destroying lie, the Buddha's response wasn't anger or panic, it was resilience. He compared himself to a war elephant that just keeps marching forward, even when it's being hit by arrows. He was basically going to endure the attacks with integrity, trusting that the truth would eventually come out.
I mean, this ancient story is a blueprint for the character assassinations we see online today, right? You take a few out-of-context clips, you manufacture a rumor, and then there's a public pile-on. It shows just how easily lies can be weaponized to cause immense harm, and it offers a powerful lesson in how to face them. Not with more rage, but with unwavering integrity.
So after exploring desire, division, and deception, what can we take away from these 2,000-year-old tales? What is the wisdom they're offering us for navigating our own complicated world? Well, first, chasing desire is a trap. True satisfaction comes from managing our wants, not just endlessly fulfilling them. Second, we have to be humble about what we think we know. We are all touching just one part of the elephant, and we need to listen to others to see the bigger picture. Third, in the face of lies and slander, integrity is your shield. And finally, maybe the most crucial point of all, these aren't just their problems from the past. They're our problems, rooted in a shared human nature that really hasn't changed in millennia. And that brings us to the end. I want to leave you with this question to think about. As you go through your day, look at the news, and scroll through your feeds, which of these patterns do you see? The insatiable king, the arguing blind men, or the poison of a lie? Because, recognizing the story you're in, that's the first step to changing the ending.